Behind the scenes, exclusive access.
Take you inside for an extraordinary tour here at ABC News Live. This is it.
It's time to go there, be there, experience it, live on the scene. Maybe that's why, in just 1 year, ABC News Live is already America's #1 live streaming news. And imagine this, it's free.
Wow!
Watch ABC News Live right now and anytime, streaming on Roku, Hulu, Facebook, and abcnews.com.
ABC News Live.
Streaming everywhere, right to you.
I actually planned the next 2 years of my life around this. I'm going to National Community College to save money and to serve Amherst.
That is Tony LaBranch, one of the youngest elected officials in U.S. history. The 18-year-old Democrat is heading to the New Hampshire House of Representatives after winning his election in Amherst. LaBranch is a cancer survivor. He hired his high school friends to be the bulk of his staff. And we are back now to our top story, the president's allegations of fraud in this election.
He was back on Twitter after 2 a.m. this morning, once again falsely claiming he's won the election and claiming the Supreme Court should intervene.
Our political roundtable weighed in on the president's claims.
This stuff is going on that the president's talking about.
I think actually you have a contrast which is on split screen. Vice President Joe Biden talked like a leader. Donald Trump talked like a loser, and the American people saw it for themselves.
Look, it's a precarious time for the country. There are concerns that the campaign has, and in all of these legal challenges, which we're now sort of entering the legal phase of this, even though the counting is still ongoing, there's the legal fight and there's the PR fight. And sometimes when you're doing it, you're winning the PR fight and losing the legal fight, or vice versa. Right now, the president is losing both.
Let's look at it straight. This is a test. It's a test of our election system. It's a test of our institutions, and it's a test, really, of each one of us as Americans. There is a time-honored, lawful way of settling election disputes, as Chris Christie was saying. It takes place both in the court of public opinion, but also in courts of law. In the court of public opinion, you can say whatever you want. It doesn't matter if you have any evidence. You can say your inauguration crowd was the biggest in history. You can say the election's being stolen. In the court of law, however, as Chris points out, you need evidence.
And we will hear a lot more from our roundtable today because we are expecting big developments in this race for president.
And we're also hearing from the president on Twitter. As we mentioned, he's been very vocal, but he actually has no public events on his schedule today.
All righty. Well, our coverage continues right now on this ABC station.
Make sure to keep it here. Stay with us for Good Morning America, and have a great Friday, everyone.
Right now on America This Morning, your voice, your vote. The fight for the White House escalates. President Trump claiming vote theft and fraud without providing evidence.
If you count the illegal votes, they can try to the election from us.
And overnight, one of his top allies coming to his side.
The allegations of wrongdoing are earth-shattering.
Former Vice President Joe Biden put...
We have no doubt that when the count is finished, Senator Harris and I will be declared the winners. The process is working.
Race gets even tighter in 3 crucial and what we expect to learn today.
Plus, the late-night protests and security precautions.
Our experts and analysts are here to guide you through it all.
Our live coverage continues on America This Morning.
From ABC News in New York, this is America This Morning.
Good Friday morning, everyone. At this hour, former Vice President Joe Biden is making gains in 2 crucial states.
Here's where we stand right now. Biden is still at 253 electoral votes. President Trump at 214. They need 270.
In Pennsylvania, President Trump's lead has been shrinking. It was fewer than 20,000 votes overnight. And it's not just mail-in votes from Philadelphia where Biden has been making huge gains. Last night, Erie County in the northwest corner of the state turned blue. President Trump needs Pennsylvania to win the White House.
And a major update, Biden has taken the lead in the state of Georgia, where he had been trailing since Election Day, as the vote count has been coming in overnight. And we're expecting more votes today from the Atlanta suburbs and from Savannah. Both are blue areas.
Looking at Arizona, a bright spot for the president. Biden's lead is shrinking to about 47,000 votes overnight. All eyes there on Maricopa County, the Phoenix area where the president made gains last night, and more votes are being released today.
The president appears to be watching the results come in overnight. He tweeted around 2:30 a.m. Eastern, falsely claiming that he's won the election. He also suggested in his tweets that the Supreme Court should intervene. ABC's Andrea Fajii begins our coverage.
Overnight, Trump supporters holding Stop the Steal rallies in states where votes are still being counted.
He's already won the election.
In Philadelphia, streets packed with protesters, police using barricades to separate dueling rallies. Some demanding every vote be counted, others decrying ballot fraud. The protests coming hours after President Trump defiantly declared victory.
If you count the legal votes, I easily win.
Trump claiming without evidence that the election was rigged.
I've already decisively won many critical states, including massive victories.
Legal experts calling the president's accusations of massive voter fraud baseless.
It's very worrying because there's no doubt that a lot of people who support him will think he must be telling the truth, that where there's smoke, there's fire. It's really damaging to American democracy.
Joe Biden urging people to keep the faith, tweeting overnight that no one is going to take our democracy away from us. America has come too far, fought too many battles, and endured too much to let that happen.
We have no doubt that when the count is finished, Senator Harris and I will be declared the winners. So I ask everyone to stay calm.
President Trump also suggesting ballots in Pennsylvania are being received after the allotted time.
Partisan Democrats have allowed ballots in the state to be received 3 days after the election. And we think much more than that.
But election officials insist they're counting legally cast ballots. That's because the day before the election, the Supreme Court ruled against the president's campaign and allowed a 3-day extension for receiving absentee ballots in Pennsylvania. The president also making this claim.
In Philadelphia, observers have been kept far away, very far away, so far that people are using binoculars to try and see.
A picture from the Philadelphia Inquirer does show an election watcher standing behind a barrier using binoculars to observe counting inside Philadelphia's convention center. A judge later granted the Trump campaign's request to allow observers to get a closer view. The president also saying windows at counting locations are being papered over.
And it became a little bit dangerous. One major hub for counting ballots in Detroit covered up the windows again with large pieces of cardboard.
Workers at a Detroit counting location did cover windows at the site. But that was after what officials described as a chaotic confrontation when protesters arrived at the building. Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany retweeting video of the windows being covered with more than 7 million views and the caption, "Shady." This morning, election officials tell the New York Times the windows were covered because of concern about people taking unauthorized photographs and videos. The president also claiming that the election apparatus in Georgia is run by Democrats. But Georgia's Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, is a Republican. Trump even endorsed him in 2018. In the meantime, some Republicans are pushing back against the president.
Because I know there's a lot of people who think this election is stolen. A lot of people think there is fraud. And you know what? There may be fraud. There may be all that. We don't know that right now. And for the president to go out there and claim that without any evidence of that is dangerous.
Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn, an ally of the president, requesting to see evidence of any irregularities.
What I think is that if there are irregularities, let's document them.
And overnight, Senator Lindsey Graham standing by the president, even donating $500,000 to Trump's legal defense fund.
He stood with me. He's the reason we're going to have a Senate majority. My race was overwhelming. He helped Senate Republicans. We're going to pick up House seats.
And Donald Trump Jr. last night vowing to fight.
I think the number one thing that Donald Trump can do in this election is fight each and every one of these battles to the death so that we get full transparency in the process.
It's Black Friday every Friday. Over 1,000 amazing deals and discounts every day. Show me a Black Friday.
On the table. And Senator Ted Cruz also saying, quote,
StateStuka.com is how you too can shop in USA from Kenya on websites like Apple, Best Buy, Amazon, Walmart, Fashion Nova, Victoria's Secret, Macy's, Gucci, and many other top stores in the U.S. Go to StateStuka.com to get started.
Getting a tip, say they found a Hummer SUV near the Pennsylvania Convention Center. The tip claimed one man was taken into custody. From Virginia with plans for an attack. Police say a gun was found. At least one man was taken into custody.
Nevada protesters gathered claiming, among other things, that ballots were cast on behalf the Trump campaign has now filed a lawsuit claiming, among other things, that ballots were cast on behalf of deceased voters. Meanwhile, in Arizona, the race is even tighter than it was 12 hours ago. In Georgia and Michigan has more from Phoenix. Meanwhile, in Arizona, the race is even tighter. This race continues to get tighter and tighter here in Arizona. Joe Biden leading Donald Trump. This race continues to get tighter and tighter here in Arizona. Joe Biden leading Donald Trump by just about 46,000 outside the county recorder's office. Some people have started to see some protests that last night. Some outside the county recorder's office. Some people have showed up to monitor the ballot counting that was taking place. Some actually tried to get inside, removed by saying that they wanted to monitor the ballot counting that was taking place. They just want to make sure that people are safe, and they don't want to interrupt the ballot counting process. They just want to make sure that people are safe, actually put up and they don't want to interrupt the ballot counting process. With a sign so along with the sheriff's department here, they actually put up some fencing outside the recorder's office with a sign that says the state of Arizona zone. But we still have some time here before we know who won the state of Arizona. Thank you. The developments are coming in by the hour.
We spoke overnight to former Virginia Congresswoman Barbara Comstock and Amanda Renteria, former political director for the Clinton campaign. To get the perspective, Barbara Comstock and Amanda Renteria. I want to start with you, Barbara. The president had a stunning news conference earlier this afternoon. I want to start with you, Barbara. The president had a stunning news conference earlier this afternoon in which the president claims that he wins. Said only allegations of illegal voting without any evidence of fraud. He also on the president's claims made allegations of illegal voting in Nevada.
It was reprehensible. And it not only was graceless, sore loser or anticipating. It was reprehensible. And it not only was graceless, it is dangerous to our election integrity. And I'm part of a group called the National Council. It is dangerous to our election integrity. And I'm part of a group called the National Council that they put out tonight on election integrity. And I'd like to just spend 15 minutes this evening using the podium of the White House to make false claims that undermine the integrity of our elections. And that's from 40 people, including people like Dan Coates, who is part of his administration, Michael Chertoff, but also Madeleine Albright, people like Dan Coates, former members of Congress, Democrats and Republicans. But also Madeleine Albright, as well as the behaviors of Congress, Democrats and Republicans. It was appalling, as well as the coming out and agreeing with them, going out threatening members of Congress. I'm pretty confident that we can say that he's known as this bare-knuckle cage fighter when he wants to push back, and then we can say that he's known as this bare-knuckle cage fighter when he wants to push back and goes on camera. So how can Democrats combat this as they go on camera with evidence? Baseless
I think it's important to do what Biden is doing right now, showing the difference between his leadership and Trump's leadership. To do what Biden is doing right now, showing the difference between his leadership and Trump's leadership. It will spark a conversation Democrats and Republicans beginning to work together with public servants, and really puts back into place some normalcy, institutions, and respect in our systems. And really puts back into place some normalcy, certainly swing towards Biden in our systems. When you look at all the outstanding numbers in Pennsylvania, certainly swing towards Biden. And when you look at all the outstanding data, Georgia's going to be tight, very, very good. But the fact that it's even tight is saying something about the work that's been happening. Incredibly tight, but the fact that it's even tight is saying something about the work that's been happening.
And I think by the end of Georgia tonight, into tomorrow morning, Pennsylvania is going to go for, and even in Arizona, while Georgia looks closer, I think it will continue to be for Biden, and we will have to even in Arizona, while it might be closer, I think it will continue to be for Biden, and we will have to wrap this up, and people will have to
coming up, a new headline about the coronavirus pandemic and Thanksgiving.
Also had the balance of power in the U.S.
Coming up, a new headline about the coronavirus pandemic and Thanksgiving.
She always has a small word for her. Kinder Joy, my trust, their joy.
2% off. Even crazier with DT. Meeting face-to-face with one of the world's most brutal dictators, Kim Jong-un.
I do trust him. Yeah, I think he trusts me. I think he trusts me, and I trust him.
I have to ask you about your emails. Your father has taken Hillary Clinton to task for this. There is no equivalency. So the idea of lock her up doesn't apply to you. Doesn't apply to
to you.
How strange is it for the president to compare the president to a mob boss? Very strange.
What do you wish you could tell your pre-White House self?
Melania Trump.
Do you think there's still people there? Still working out.
Yes.
Still working out.
Michael Cohen.
So he's still
Cohen.
lying. So he's still lying. It's a big statement. It's a big statement.
Now in a year within.
Good evening tonight from Washington. Good evening tonight from Washington. A very busy news night.
America's #1 news source. Straightforward.
No punches and give it to us straight. And give it to us straight.
No spin. No spin.
Imagine getting your news like that. Just give it to me straight. Just give it to me straight.
ABC News.
ABC News. Straightforward.
Another week in America.
Another week in America.
Facing a new test now.